Budriago, Warami, Wideo. Welcome. My name is Matthew Doyle. I'm a descendant of the Murawari Aboriginal Nation from the far northwest of New South Wales, where I was born on Gadigal land here in Sydney. And I'm coming to you today from my home on Bidjigal land. I'd like to invite you to also acknowledge the land on which you gather on. Of course, it is customary that we acknowledge the ancestors, the spirits of this land, and of course our elders, past and present. I'd like to extend that respect to all of you today. We invite you onto country, not as visitors or friends, but we invite you as brothers and sisters, as we're all part of the human family. Dadi Balang, Onia, Yoli Birong Gumarago, Murang, Bijigolora, Ungongamania, Tali Nurangun, Banyajaminka, Selkalania, which means we acknowledge the ancestors and the spirits, and we welcome you with open arms and embrace you as family. I'd like to also welcome you with a short piece on the Yiraki, or many of you will know as a didgeridoo. Didgerigor, thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to today's information session on the Australia Council's International Engagement Strategy 2021-25. My name is Gray Yo and I'll be your host this morning. I am the International Development Consultant for Asia and the Australia Council and will be facilitating this information session and discussion. On behalf of the Australia Council, I warmly acknowledge the traditional owners of countries throughout Australia, including the traditional lands from where you are in the world today. I pay my respects to elders past, present, and future. I am dialing in to you from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia today, and I would love to hear where you are joining us from as well. So feel free to drop a note in the chat. Just a quick overall housekeeping and information. You can access live caption directly in Zoom window by toggling on the CC button at the bottom of your screen. You can see it now. You can also change the size of the text in the subtitled setting or pop it out to a window to view the full transcript. Let me begin by audio describing myself. I am a Malaysian man of Chinese descent in my mid-30s, wearing a black t-shirt with short hair dyed today to a silver blonde color. My virtual background is pink with the words International Engagement on the top left corner. I would also like to introduce and thank our Auslan interpreters, Rebecca and Kat, who will be providing Auslan support today. Today, we are also using an artificial intelligence captioner to caption the session. What you see now is we have set the default view for desktop users to speaker's view. This will allow everyone to see the speaker. And if you're on a mobile device, you will need to select this view yourself. I believe it's swiping right on the Zoom app. We will move into a gallery view during the breakout session, during the group discussion. We would love to hear from you today, and let's keep it interactive as possible. So there are two main ways you can contribute to our discussion. You can either add comments to the chat stream, and I can see a lot of people typing right now. And you can also ask questions, but I'd like to say, please save the questions for when we are in the smaller breakout sessions, where there'll be more time to talk with the international team. And finally, I think if you have any tech difficulties, our tech support person for this session is our digital producer, Fraser Offord. You can raise your Zoom hand through the raise hand button if you have any tech issues, and Fraser will get in touch with you in the chat. There is also an email address, which I believe you all received this morning to get to the Zoom link. So if you happen to fall out of the Zoom session and need to get back in, Fraser's contact is in there, and you can also click on the link through the email. If we do not get to your questions and comments today, don't worry. Please feel free to contact us by emailing us international@australiacouncil.gov.au or call 1-800-226-912, and these information will be pasted into the chat now. If at any time during the conversation you are finding the discussions a little bit difficult or stressful, you are very welcome to take a break and then come back later. We want to have a positive conversation with you, but we also understand that we are all living in challenging times. First and foremost, please remember to take care of yourself. If you are joining in from Australia, you can access one of the helplines, and it should be pasted into the chat as well right now. I'd like to share with everyone the participation rules of today's session, then values which guide our discussion today. They are accessibility and diversity, respectful, professional, and genuine engagement, reciprocity, deep listening, openness, non-judgment, safety, kindness, and open assistance. And lastly, just a reminder, which you have saw earlier, that we are recording today's session. We hope that it'll last for an hour. And the first part of the session, which is around 25 minutes to 30 minutes, we will hear from Thea Bauman, the Senior Manager of the International Engagement Team, about the strategy itself. And then for the second half, we will break into 4 Zoom rooms to discuss the programs and initiatives that will be rolling out over the next few months. In these breakout rooms is your opportunity to ask questions to the host of the breakout rooms. I'm very pleased that we are joined by Thea and of course the members of the International Engagement Team today, who you can identify through the pink background, and Thea will introduce them later. But I'd like to start today's session by just saying hi to Thea, good morning, and asking her to tell us a little bit about the team, the International Engagement Team, of course, and also the International Engagement Strategy. And while we listen to Thea, again, I would like to encourage everyone to contribute by typing any comments and feedback into the chat stream, and holding your questions for our breakout room in a bit. Thea, over to you.
Thanks so much, Gray. Hello, I'm Tia Bauman. I am the Senior Manager of International Engagement, joining in from unceded Gadigal land. Just an audio description of myself. I am a Eurasian woman with purple eyeshadow on. I have black hair and it's in a ponytail, and I'm wearing a black shirt. I'm surrounded by a pink virtual background. I'd say it's lipstick pink, that is titled International Engagement. So I'm joined here today by several colleagues from the International Engagement team, and you will have the opportunity to talk with them during the breakout sessions. Our international engagement team, including international development consultants, are based in Market, and they all work actively to increase audiences for Australian arts and create connections for Australian artists with their international peers to foster collaboration and exchange. So in brief, I am joined by a very fabulous team. We have the International Market Advisors, Karen Leroy, Joanna Baindrian, Nithya Nagarajan, and Ellen Dwyer. Our International Development Consultants, for North America, Norman Armour, and of course, Gray Yao. And our Venice Biennale Project Manager, Tamina Maskinya, and Project Officer, Major Projects, Niwa Mabruja. You'll see the international team members have a colour Zoom banner, and we will introduce ourselves further in the breakout rooms. We are so thrilled to have recently released our international engagement strategy from 2021 to 2025. This strategy outlines a vision for Australian arts, culture, and creativity that are thriving and known globally for their innovation, sustainability, complexity, and diversity. Some of the key priorities include activating borderless thinking, leveraging new technologies and platforms, and centering equity and access to reflect Australia's diversity. But before I talk more on this, I want to first share a response to the international engagement strategy created by artists. The Australia Council commissioned award-winning poet, filmmaker, and digital producer Jazz Money to respond to the international engagement strategy and corporate plan, Creativity Connects Us, in words. This video features interdisciplinary artists Manal Yunus, James Nguyen, and Zachariah Fielding adding their voices to Jazz Money's poetic response, with sound design by Corinne Aledo, all produced by Viewfinder Studios in Melbourne.
We are the ripple expanding outwards upon currents uncharted.
We are the tides that move beyond what is known, with dreams that extend far beyond the horizon.
We know no borders. We know no limits.
We are a deep well spring of past and future, a continent of many nations, many songs, many stories. And this is a story that begins within the ancient, abundant sovereignty of this land and its people.
We honour who we are in all our multitudes as we work together to solve the challenges of now, gathered as members of a global community who are sustainable, responsible, and conscious.
We think beyond ourselves. We push boundaries. We break down that which divides us, with solutions informed by now.
Art is the thing that brings us together. It connects us to who we are in the world as we challenge the structures we inherit.
It's the individual, the collective, the group, the dialogue,
the whisper, the step, the leap, the page.
And the stage, the hope, the draft, the sketch, the edit, the almost there, the final page, final cut, final coat, the breathe in, the breathe out, the applause. These are the things that bring us together.
And this is how we move forward into the future.
There is no one art. There is no one us. We are complex, multidimensional, innovative, intimate, determined, borderless.
We are gathered
this journey takes you.
We are together
On the currents of now,
with the art.
with art.
With arts to connect us.
Great, so thank you. So the works profiled in this video focus on international presentations, intercultural and hybrid collaborations, all key to the strategy itself. The two main objectives of the strategy are to, one, strengthen the global profile of Australian arts, culture and creativity, and two, to build the capability of Australia's artists, creative workers and organisations to engage internationally beyond physical travel. So over the coming years, with the Australian industry and our government and international partners, we will be investing in programs of activity that deliver against these objectives. Global First Nations exchanges, Asia Pacific engagement, residencies, mobility and market development, and major projects, the Australian Performing Arts Market or APAM, the Visiting International Publishers Program and International Curators Program, and Australia at the Venice Biennale 2022 and 2024. This includes the Biennale delegates and Australian Pavilion invigilation programs. And alongside that, a competitive funding program through a pilot international engagement fund. So the International Engagement Fund, it supports the Australian arts, cultural and creative sectors to explore opportunities to engage internationally in the wake of unprecedented global change and disruption. This fund encourages borderless thinking and applications for engagement in any part of the world where they align with our strategic priorities. So think global First Nations exchanges, Asia Pacific engagement, risk-taking, experimentation, sustainability, and digital futures. It supports innovation and prototyping of new models for creative collaboration, presentation, and distribution. So the amounts available are 5,000 to 15,000 for research, experimentation, development, and prototyping, and 15,001 to $30,000 to support action and devising of new models. So examples of this include collaborations and co-productions, market development, and smart touring, such as concept, hybrid, slow, and sustainable forms of touring. So the first round closes on the 9th of November for projects commencing from the 1st of February 2022. And this fund will prioritise online and hybrid modes of delivery up to the 30th of June 2022. And we will evaluate this fund with round 2 dates to be announced in early 2022. Now, there's a lot of opportunities on the go at the moment, apart from the International Engagement Fund. And the opportunities currently open for application include the Helsinki International Artist Program Residency, the Australia-Singapore Digital Residencies, All the Things We Couldn't Say Digital Theatre Makers Program, the Arts Leaders Program, the Future Leaders Program, the International Leadership Program, and the Translation Fund for Literature. So we've got a lot of opportunities at the moment. I think some links will be dropped in the chat and you can check those out. Aligned with the Australia Council's digital culture strategy, we are also taking applications for the digital strategist in residence and the digital transformation for the creative industries opportunity. So there's a lot on the go there. So there will be time to talk about these in the breakout rooms if you've got any more questions about it. And obviously you can contact us after the session by phone or email if you have any other questions.
Thank you, Thea. Just in talking about the COVID pandemic, which we have seen devastating impact on the Australian artists and arts workers, and of course, Australia's international borders have been closed since March 2020. We've heard about the challenging times that artists are working internationally, and at the same time as well, we've heard a lot from the feedback as well that people are concerned about how to build sustainable careers and business models and ways to embed environmental sustainability in their practice. This actually feeds into a lot that we've spoken about, but I'd like you to talk a little bit about how the strategy address some of these challenges and respond to the period of this rapid change that we're living through.
Sure, great. So this strategy has been informed by deep consultation with national and international peers and a longitudinal evaluation of the activity delivered under the Australia Council's International Art Strategy 2015 to 2020, which you can read on our website. So consultation took place online during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was a time when many arts workers and artists had to pivot and adapt their way of working. So as you know, over the past 2 years, many of the usual ways of working internationally have been deeply disrupted, from the way we connect and network with peers through to collaboration, presentation, and distribution. So our new strategy was informed by these conditions and looks ahead to the future where the pandemic may continue to impact on physical mobility for some time. As well as the pandemic, the past 5 years have seen increasing awareness of climate sustainable practice and shifting geopolitics. Calls for sustainable and decolonized practice have also demanded consideration of new ways of working. So having said all of this, the priorities of the new strategy are to rethink and expand the concept of mobility through testing of dynamic engagement models that includes digital, hybrid, and in-person connection. Leverage technologies and digital platforms for creation, distribution, networking, and increasing of discoverability of Australian work. Activate borderless thinking to build reciprocal and multilateral partnerships across regions and industries, and leverage co-investment. Strengthen First Nations exchange, that is First Nations led and self-determined. Amplify Asia-Pacific engagement and the perspectives of the Asia-Pacific diaspora in Australia. Diversify income and revenue streams to foster sustainable careers and business models by increasing access to markets, information, and networks, and to showcase Australian work to global audiences and influencers. Foster risk-taking, experimentation, and innovation in creation, distribution, connection, and profile building. And centre equity and access to reflect Australia's diversity. And also to embed sustainability through research and investment in best practice models and frameworks to minimise the sector's carbon footprint.
Thanks, Thea, for the overview of the strategy. Now, I know that there's a lot there, but don't worry, we're right on the dot for us to go into the breakout room. But I hope that that has been quite useful for audiences, artists and all the guests in today's session to mull over a little bit how our strategy can actually elevate your ambition.